Welcome to this special edition of Eagle's Eye, right here on AUTV. I'm Cade Cracas, and today I'm joined by Ashland University journalism and digital media major Kylie Doershuk. Kyle, thanks so much for sitting down with me here today.
As we come to the end, it's my pleasure.
Oh, of course. So obviously, first and foremost, what has brought you to Ashland University?
Well, it's actually a really roundabout story, one I've told many times, but the way I ended up here, I was, with everything, my freshman year was 2020 with COVID, and I waited a little too long because I was very heavily involved in high school. I was doing a DECA marketing project that was super ingrained in with a local bank that was taking like all of my time, and I was like, we're just going to get through. It won first in the state. We were going to go to the national competition. We're just going to get through, do that, then I'll make my decision. I had toured a couple of schools, I think Mount Union, Wittenberg, so smaller sort of private colleges, and it applied to some bigger schools as well, like Miami. And didn't quite know what I wanted, then COVID hit, and I was like, well, now I have all this time to make this decision, but couldn't get a tour anywhere. So was starting to look around more, and funny enough, our department chair, Dave McCoy, I went to high school with his daughter, Cassie, and she recommended that I look at Ashland and that he could show me around, give me a tour. And I did that, and even though everything was locked down, it was, we came in, were masked, did the whole tour, did everything, and I was like, I liked the vibe of the campus, and sort of was like, okay, I'll give this more consideration. Ended up sitting on it until I could get a real tour from an admissions rep. My tour was with Kyle Whistle, actually, who I came to know later in a different role, but that was in July, and I think it was July 28th of 2020. I made the decision to come here, which was incredibly late, but I don't regret it for a minute. And I think it's just a really roundabout way of how I ended up here.
And so to use your own words a little bit, you talked about being late. You're a bit late to becoming a JDM major.
Yeah.
So obviously entering as undecided, what was that whole process like?
Similar in the same way. I didn't really have like a defined path through high school. I did a lot of things. I was involved in a lot of things. I didn't know if I wanted to be a marketing major, which would have maybe lined up more with what I did in my DECA program. I didn't know I was heavily involved in music in high school, which I've continued here. So I didn't know if I wanted to go that way. So I had all these options open, and it was a little overwhelming at first, especially with making such a late move to come to college. But I was undecided at first, took sort of a baby step, and I was, weirdly enough, planned my minor before I planned my major once I knew what I wanted to do with that. So I started working towards a history minor through the Ashbrook Scholar Program in the Department of History and Political Science, and sort of worked my way up, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to do this full time. So Dave calls it me coming home. I came back because I respected his opinion as a friend of a friend, if you will. And he was like, just try it, take 2 classes, which I did. I think it was Intro to Journalism and a professional practice for radio. So I met Derek, and then sort of came through that, and then as towards the end of the semester, I was like, okay, I could do this, and then I got an email from Derek that said, in bold, underlined, and italicized, I would heavily encourage you to become a JDM major. So took the shot, and here I am today.
Well, and here you are, and it's been in full force throughout your time in JDM. You've been heavily involved. Do you want to speak a little bit about those different student-run organizations you've been a part of?
Yeah, so I started out with sort of a baby role. I was a DJ on WRDL, I think it was 7 to 9 Tuesdays. I showed The Garage. It was about cars. Started there as a DJ, got some on-air skills, took a step to become the weather director for the station. So started organizing a team of people that read weather. At that time, it was on the 45 hour, and 4 times a day, did the overnights, and then sort of gradually worked my way up. Then I became a host on The Early Bird's Word with you and Bryn when it was still Tuesday, Thursdays. So that was fun to sort of start working that in, gained a lot of skills that way. And then eventually worked up to the role of program director, which is one under Derek as general manager. And that's been really rewarding. He and I work well together in terms of our ideas and sort of manifesting them for the station. So just an extension of the way I ran weather, did it with DJs, and really started getting my feet wet with WRDL Sports too, which was not a strong area of mine, as you know, and sort of started that. Moving then in, I originally started doing just news breaks with AUTV, and if you had known me when I was in high school, not want anything to do with being in front of the camera. I hated the sound of my own voice, everything. And funny enough, it was actually my high school graduation, which was a sort of, not virtual, but it was like a pre-recorded thing we all watched at a drive-in movie theater. And that was, looking back, actually my first like audio video thing that I did. And I was a narrator for a Breakfast Club style opening to our movie. And sort of got more comfortable with my voice and decided to try to project that onto TV. Tried it out, liked it, and then sort of took a backside. I wanted to try both, production and being talent. So then I eventually became the production manager for AUTV, scheduling everyone, which also has been really enjoyable because I've been able to change the way that we do scheduling to try to increase skills for everyone in the department, and that's been rewarding because I can see it's been working.
And something else you also did with your time in JDM was the Doug Geiser Show, meaning you traveled an awful lot in the fall.
That is true, yeah.
And so outside of JDM, though, obviously you've done so much, you just talked about it. What else has been your involvement across campus?
Geez, well, it's probably easier to say the things I haven't done, even though there is a lot on campus. I've been involved with the music department all 4 years, even during COVID. That was a strange time. I played second trumpet in the jazz band since I was a freshman. I've been in the symphonic band as principal trumpet, brass ensemble. And those are sort of the things I've done as like my me time, because music's important to me. And no matter how stressed I am about other things, when I can sit down and make music with other people, it's usually what calms me down and keeps me committed to the things I do. In terms of outside of that, I'm trying to think, of course, all the stuff here, which is certainly a time commitment, but very rewarding. And I also, when I was a freshman, sort of found my hope and light in collegiate life, which was my fraternity, Phi Kappa Psi, has helped me in more ways than I can think of. And started out in a leadership position there as a freshman and worked my way up, and I was lucky enough to serve as president for that group. This past year, ended my term, and actually for this spring. And it's been really rewarding to be able to lead that group of guys, give back to the place they give to me so much, and yeah.
And so speaking of all those different things you've been a part of and all the organizations you've served with, when you take a look at maybe potentially a favorite memory that you have at your time, is there one that stands out specifically?
Yeah, I mean, there's all the things we do, the group of guys in the fraternity, I have too many memories to try to quantify them into one. But certainly one thing I can think of, at least in the performing arts realm, is when our Maple Rock Jazz Fest, when I was a junior. Yeah, I was a junior. So not this one, not this year's, but the year past. We had a whole slew of guest artists that were world-renowned, including a drummer by the name of Sammy De Leon from a Latin group in Cleveland. And he had such a way of commanding the stage, and we played a song all together at the end where he started started doing a drum solo with our drummer, and it was like time stopped when he was in he just took control of what was happening on stage, and it was like time stopped, and it was like euphoria. And I think that was one of the cooler memories I have with people. I think the other things I could think of are the trips we've taken with the music groups. We went to Chicago on tour 2 years, or I guess last year, and then this past spring, the jazz group went to Spain for a tour. So that was really fun to do as well.
So now shifting gears to post-grad, what's next for you?
Yeah. Going on a trip to Germany so it's World War II and the Holocaust, which it was actually supposed to happen my freshman year in the summer, but they ended up going through with it because of all the lockdowns, and travel overseas was still all crazy. So when I saw that they were doing that again, I was like, that'll be my graduation present. I want to go do that. Luckily enough, I was able to do one thanks to my grandma and grandpa. They helped me out to go to one that got me a lot of credits 2 summers ago. And that was about Luther and the Reformation and things like that. So luckily, I already sort of know the area that we're going to be at and sort of know a little bit and can add it to my travel roster because I do like traveling a lot. So that'll be the main thing, 3 days after I walk the stage, and then after that, start looking for jobs and start thinking about grad school. And
so my last question for you here, Kyle, obviously, with so much you've done, is there any advice you'd give out, and anything that you've learned specifically that you'd like to point out?
I think the biggest thing is give back. That's what I always tell people, especially freshmen when I meet them on campus every year, is find find a place on campus that you can call home, because otherwise you're gonna do very little while you're here. And when you're 40 and have kids, do you really want to remember, oh, I just sat in my room at school all day, and I went to class at 8 and then went to bed, or oh, I went and worked out, and that's all you did? Find a home, find a group of people that share your same sort of principles you like doing. Find a way to give back, no matter what that looks like for you. If it's Greek life, if it's in your major, biology club, whatever it is, give back, find your home, and have fun.
Well, Kyle, thanks so much for joining me here today, and thanks so much for all that you've done for the department.
My pleasure.
That is all the time that we have for today in this special edition of AUTV's Eagle Eye. Be sure to follow us across social media at AUTV. I'm Cade Cracas. Thanks for tuning in.